Good evening, everybody. It's just clocked over 5:30. I would like to welcome you all to the inaugural Ordinary Council meeting, newly appointed. I'd like to also welcome members of the gallery and let you know that this live stream. You may notice we've got additional people around the place and not just family and friends in the gallery, but we also have some IT technical support around because our new members have some new equipment that they're just getting used to, so they may assist purely from a technical point of view this evening. I invite you all now to stand, if you would like, for the acknowledgement, diversity, commitment and service. City of Victor Harbor acknowledges Murrumbidgee and Nurrunggeri people, traditional custodians of land and surrounding waters where we live and work. We acknowledge their deep connection to country and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. This respect is extended to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in Australia. The City of Victor Harbor is committed to diversity, equity and inclusion. We respect people of ages, abilities, genders, sexuality, cultures and backgrounds. We recognise the brave individuals who served and continue to serve our nation. We remember those who have lost their lives and paid the sacrifice. There are no apologies or leave of absences for this evening's inaugural council meeting. So we'll progress immediately now into the declarations where our members officially become council members and our mayor. So to do that, I will invite our JP, Alan Bell, to assist with that process, and I'll invite Alan to stay there, Alan, or yep, Alan will stand up there. So I'm going to call individual council members and Alan will guide the process, so they'll take their oath. And then at that point, they will officially be declared council members. So I will firstly invite Moira Jenkins.
I, Moira Jenkins, having been elected to the office of Mayor of the City of Victor Harbor, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office in the public to the best of my judgment and my abilities, and in accordance with the Local Government Act 19.
And I'll now present Mayor Moira Jenkins with her mayoral robe and chains. I now invite Braden Mann.
I, Braden Mann, having been elected to the office of Area Councillor of the City of Victor Harbor, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office, public interest, to the best of my judgment and abilities, and in accordance with the Local Government Act 19.
I now invite Stuart Burns.
I, Stuart Burns, having been elected to the office of Area Councillor of City of Victor Harbor, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office in the public interest to the best of my judgment and abilities in accordance with the Local Government Act of 1999.
I now invite Michael Quinton.
I, Michael Quinton, having been elected to the office of Area Councillor of the City of Victor Harbor, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office in the public interest to the best of my judgment and abilities and in accordance with the Local Government Act of 1999.
Well done. I now invite Marilyn Henderson.
I, Marilyn Henderson, having been elected to the office of Area Councillor of the City of Victor Harbor, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office in the public interest, to the best of my judgment and abilities, and in accordance with the Local Government Act 1999.
I now invite David Kemp.
I, David Kemp, having been elected to the office of Area Councillor of the City of Victor Harbor, undertake faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office in public interest to the best of my judgment and abilities and in accordance with the Local Government Act of 1999.
I now invite Angela Schiller.
I, Angela Schiller, having been elected to the office of Area Councillor for the City of Victor Harbor, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office in the public interest to the best of my judgment and abilities and in accordance with the Local Government Act of 1999.
Thank you. Right. That goes across.
I now invite Carlos Quaremba.
I, Carlos Quaremba, having been elected to the office of Area Council for the City of Victor Harbor, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office in the public interest to the best of my judgment and abilities and in accordance with the Local Government Act of 1999. Right, thanks a lot.
I now invite Carol Schofield.
I, Carol Schofield, having been elected to the office of the Area Councillor of the City of Victor Harbor, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of the office in the public interest to the best of my judgment and abilities and in accordance with the Local Government Act 1999.
I now invite Nick McKenzie.
I, Nick McKenzie, having been elected to the office of Area Councillor of the City of Victor Harbor, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office in the public interest to the best of my judgment and abilities and in accordance with the Local Government Act 1999.
Congratulations, new members, and I'd like to thank Alan Bell for assisting us with this process this evening. I'll now hand over chairing of the meeting to Mayor Moira Jenkins.
Thank you, Karen, and welcome everybody. It's great to see the new council, and I think that the community have chosen you all very, very well, and I look forward to working with you over the next 4 years. Can I just remind you of disclosure by councils on material or actual conflict of interest in consideration in the agenda in case anyone has it. The Local Government Act requires that councillors declare any interests that they have prior to any agenda items. Can I also say that given that this is your first ordinary council meeting, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to sing out. We can take it really slowly, and if you need any further explanation for anything, please let us know. And the most important thing is that you understand what's going on. It'll be a learning process for most of you, and even the experienced councillors are still learning, including myself. So I look forward to working with you for that. So the first item that we have to talk about, there's nothing on item 5, no items adjourned or lying on the table. So item 6 comes from the Office of the Chief Executive Officer, and it's really the local government council elections deputy returning officers report. The recommendation is receiving and noting the tabled correspondence received from the Electoral Commission, Mike Sherry, in relation to the official results. Can I have someone move that way, please? Councillor Schofield. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Burns. Do either of you want to speak to that? No. Does anybody want to speak to that or have any questions? No. All those in favour? And those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 6.2 is an important one, and it relates to the appointment of a deputy mayor. And the second recommendation for 6.2 is that council, pursuant to section 51(3) and 4 of the Local Government Act, resolves that there shall be a deputy mayor appointed and the term of office shall be for a period of 12 months. So that first recommendation is agreeing to appoint somebody to the term of office for 12 months. Do I have someone to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Burns. And seconding that, Councillor Quembero. Do either of you want to speak to that? No. Does anybody want to speak to that or have any questions? No. In that case, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. So in accordance with the nomination and appointment to internal and external positions of the Code of Practice of Meeting Procedures, with the consent of 2/3 of the members, I'll call for a suspension of meeting procedures so that we can seek nominations. And if more than one member nominates, then we'll go to a secret ballot where all members can vote on that nomination. So what I might do is, are you all right with that? Yep, that's 2/3. Okay, so we'll go to that. What I might do is ask if there's any nominations. Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. Could I please nominate for Deputy Mayor Councillor Kemp?
Councillor Kemp. Certainly. Are you happy to accept that, Councillor Kemp? Thank you. Are there any further nominations? Councillor Henderson?
I would like to nominate Councillor Schofield.
Councillor Schofield? Thank you. Are you happy to accept that, Councillor Schofield?
Thank you very much, Councillor Henderson, but I decline.
Thank you, Councillor Schofield. Are there any further nominations?
Yes, I was nominating myself.
Yourself, Councillor Burns? So, Councillor Burns, are there any further nominations? So we have 2 nominations at the moment. That's Councillor Kemp and Councillor Burns nominating for Deputy Mayor. And because there is more than one member, I will hand over to the Acting Chief Executive Officer, but we need to go through that recommendation for that to be authorised by the Council. So recommendation 2, that Council appoint the Acting Chief Executive Officer as the returning officer for the purpose of the secret ballot. Do I have nominating that way, Councillor Mann? Moving that way? And seconding that, Councillor Schofield? Either of you want to speak to that? Does anybody want to speak to that? No. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Just having some technical difficulties with my microphone. So the start of the process will be to allow each of the two nominees to have 3 minutes each to explain to the council why they wish to be the Deputy Mayor. And following that process, and while those presentations are occurring, I'll ask Katie Common to hand out ballot papers to each of the council members. Following the 3-minute presentations, I'll ask each council member to nominate one name out of the two nominees, being Councillors Kemp and Councillor Burns. It'll be a first past the post, and if there's an equal number of nominations, of votes for the two nominees, then we will draw lots, with the final name being the name that goes into that recommendation. So in the order of the nominations, I will hand over to Councillor Kemp to have his 3 minutes.
Thank you, Acting CEO Rokoczynski. I see my role as a councillor working for the community, but seeing my role as a Deputy Mayor in support of our elected members and support of the current Mayor, Mayor Jenkins, and also supporting the administration. Also, I see it as an opportunity to personally grow further into the area of local government and learn and gain further knowledge so I can serve our community far greater and better than I have in the past. So again, this is about opportunity, it's about expanding my abilities and area of knowledge and to serve a better and do it better for my personal self and for the community. Repeating myself, I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kemp. Councillor Burns, your 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm putting myself up for Deputy Mayor for the following 4 reasons. One, I've chaired boards and subcommittees before, and I've met with ministers, major business and community leaders before, and I feel I can cover for the Mayor when she's required to be away. The second reason is, being retired, I have the free time to travel with the Mayor or in lieu of the Mayor to various functions, meetings and events. The third is the position of Deputy Mayor would give me an opportunity to expand my knowledge as a councillor and to better understand administration and the Mayor's extensive role in the community. So it's really a learning opportunity. And the last is to be able to utilise my business knowledge and experience and legislative knowledge to support the Mayor in meetings and discussions with the CEO.
Thank you, Councillors Kemp and Councillor Burns. Thank you. So I will now ask each council member to indicate on their ballot paper one of the two nominations, and Katie will collect them.
While the acting CEO is doing that, can I just remind elected members to speak really clearly into your microphone? It's really difficult with the online, the live streaming. That's the word I'm looking for. For the live streaming, if you're not speaking directly into your microphone, so if you can remember to do that, that would be great.
Thank you, council members. So the first past the post is Councillor Kemp. 2 votes to Stuart Burns, 8 votes to Councillor Kemp. So Councillor Kemp's name inserted into the recommendation, and I'll hand back to Mayor Jenkins.
Well done, Councillor Kemp. The third recommendation then is to appoint Councillor Kemp to the position of Deputy Mayor for the City of Victor Harbor. Councillor Kemp.
I'll need to declare a material conflict of interest as the role of Deputy Mayor gets an additional allowance, and I'll be leaving the chamber.
Thank you, Councillor Kemp. The third recommendation is to appoint Councillor Kemp to the position of Deputy Mayor. Would somebody like to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Mann. And seconding that, thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Do either of you want to speak to that? Does anybody want to speak to that or have any questions? Oh, sorry, you do.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. Yeah, just want to say that after working with Councillor Kemp for the past 4 years, I think he'll do an excellent job at Deputy Mayor. I think he's across the meeting procedures like no one else, and I look forward to seeing him in action.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Councillor Mackenzie, you did want to say anything as seconder? No. Does anybody want to say anything or have any questions? If not, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? And those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. And I agree, Councillor Mann. Councillor Kemp has the experience of the last 4 years in office and will be able to assist me, but also I think assist the other elected members as well with that level of experience. And I look forward to working with him over the next 4 years. Kathy, are you just going to get him? Emma's gone. Congratulations, Councillor Kemp. Just get your... So Councillor Kemp's just picking up his conflict of interest form. So you've seen now firsthand, if you do have a conflict of interest, what to do before the motion is read out, and then picking up the form when you come back in. So congratulations, Councillor Kemp. I was just saying I look forward to working with you over the next 4 years. And you've got lots of experience that you can share also with the other elected members, especially the new ones. Congratulations. We now move to item 6.3, which is the timing, frequency and agenda format of the meetings. The first recommendation is that the council, in accordance with section 45, that the principal office of the City of Victor Harbor is One Bay Road and is known as the Civic Centre. Not sure why we need that as a recommendation. Okay. So I just asked why we actually need our address as a recommendation. And apparently it's a technicality that we need to do that so that when we go further down the recommendations, we've got an address there. Do I have a mover for recommendation 1? Thank you, Councillor Schofield, and seconded Councillor Henderson. Do either of you want to speak to that? Does anybody want to speak to that? All those in favour? Those against? It's carried. Thank you. Now, item 2 has got 3 sections to it, and I'm happy to do them both separately or together. So the first one is, I'll actually do them separately because I understand that there may be some discussion on one of them. So the first one is that the ordinary meetings of council are held on the 4th Monday of each month in the council chambers at the Civic Centre, commencing from January 2023 to November 2026. Can someone move that way? Thank you, Councillor Kemp, and seconded by Councillor Quimbeira. Do either of you want to speak to that? Does anybody want to speak to that? All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Yeah. I'll just let Katie catch up. Okay. The second one is that if the council meeting falls on a public holiday, the meeting will be held on the next working day. Do I have someone to move that way? Councillor Henderson, and seconded by Councillor Burns. Either of you want to speak to that? Anyone want to speak to that? All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. The third one is that ordinary meetings of council will commence at 5:30. Does someone want to move that way? Happy to move that way, Councillor Schiller, and seconded by Councillor Coimbra. Do either of you want to speak to that? No, no. All those in favour? Anyone want to speak to that? All those in favour? That's carried, thank you. I thought that those councillors who are working full time may have wanted to change that start time, which is why I wanted to do that separately. The third recommendation is that council endorses an ordinary council meeting to be held on Monday the 12th of December in the council chambers, commencing at 5:30 p.m. I have someone to move that way. Councillor Schofield and Councillor Henderson seconding that. Do either of you want to speak to it? Does anybody want to speak to it? All those in favour? Against? It's carried, thank you. The fourth recommendation is that council holds a briefing session in accordance with section 90A of the Local Government Act on the second Monday of each month. The council chambers at the Civic Centre commencing at 4:30. Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. I'd like to move a slightly different motion with the change from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m.
So change it from 4:30 to 5:30?
Correct.
And you're happy to move it with that amendment?
Move that way, thank you.
Do I have a seconder for that, Carlos Coimbra? And that's with the 5:30 change. Do either of you want to speak to that?
Probably speaks for itself, but just to, I think it's excellent to look around and see such a diverse range of councillors. I think something that isn't the case for a lot of councillors around the state and the country. And I think if we're going to keep this momentum going, but also keep the diversity, we need to try and actively encourage and support those who are working full time and aren't retired. And I think that's a move to make it a 5:30 meeting definitely helps with that, and to ensure that everyone has more opportunity to get there after work.
Thank you. Councillor Coimbra, did you want to speak to that at all? Does anybody have any questions or want to speak to it? Councillor Mackenzie.
Yeah, I'll speak to that. I agree with Councillor Mann on that. By moving it to a 5:30 start, I feel as though more of us can have the opportunity to be there, and it also keeps it consistent with our other councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Any more discussion on that? No, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried unanimously. So you may be aware that in accordance with Regulation 6 of the Local Government Act, that's the meeting procedures aspect of the Act, the regulation says that council may any time by resolution of at least 2/3 of the members of the council entitled to vote on the resolution alter a code of practice or substitute or revoke a code of practice. So the recommendation is that council endorses the order of business. Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. I'll move that one with a slightly different. Just on the end, I'll have except for the removal of the prayer.
Except for the removal of the prayer. Thank you, Councillor Mann. Does somebody want to second that? Councillor Burns. Do either of you want to speak to that? Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. Yeah, just to add that I think it's excellent that we've included the diversity commitment to it, but I think also in terms of our community, I think there's a large population who like the fact that council include the prayer in there, and I think it's fine to have the both in there.
Thank you. Councillor Burns, did you want to speak to that?
I just also concur with Councillor Mann. If you look at the latest census data, it confirms that. And I think that given that we're representing the community rather than our own personal views and values, and that it's open to the public and it's being live streamed, I think at this stage it should be kept until we can discuss it with the...
Thank you, Councillor Burns. Does anybody else want to speak to that? Councillor Kemp?
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. I would like to discuss about the order of the agenda items. I'd like to have some changes in that, and I can do an amendment to this current motion to include the changes, or do I seek the leave of the meeting to go for 5 minutes out of session to discuss the changes? Then,
with 2/3 of the meeting, if you want to raise your hands, we can go out of meeting procedures for, I think 10 minutes would be suffice to discuss the changes. Otherwise, we'll continue with meeting procedures. It's up to you. So all those who are happy to go out of meeting procedures for 10 minutes. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yep. I'm happy to do that. Did you want to speak to your suggestions?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Jenkins. Yeah, I just see about the feedback I've got from the community who observe either live stream or in the gallery. Some of the items which are of interest to them is at the end of the agenda, and they prefer if it's possibly to be brought forward to the agenda. These are items 17, 18, 19 and 20, which is questions on notice, questions without notice, motions on notice and motions without notice be brought forward up and slotted in after item 8, which is petitions. Because the community is quite interested in to listen to elected members having motions on notice and questions on notice. Some of them are raised from the community, so they like to see it. Having it at the end of the agenda, at the end of the night, tend to be a little bit late for some people who are interested, because some meetings do go for long periods. So I like to see those agenda items moved up the table to slip under petitions and then carry on to the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to comment on that? If not, then we can go back into meeting procedures. Probably didn't need the full discussion. So, Councillor Klemp, you're looking to amend that that recommendation so that it reads is updated to reflect the amendments. And how would you like that to be put?
My amendment would be to change the order of the agenda items of the current 17, 18, 19, 20 will become 9, 10, 11, 12.
I'll just ask our acting CEO whether there's anything in that suggestion that may be difficult for the staff to do for legal reasons, or local government act stipulating particular ways that the agenda's got to go. Just the preference of the council. Okay, that's fine. So you are moving that amendment?
Yes, I am.
Do I have a seconder for that amendment? Thank you, Councillor Quinton. Yep. Katie's just asked for a moment to get the minutes right. I'll see if either of you want to speak to that. I'll ask for people to speak in a minute, Councillor Burns. Are you clear on those numbers, Councillor Kemp?
Yes, I believe I am, yes.
Okay. I want the word inserted after. Be inserted. Yep. Are you happy with that wording, Councillor Kemp?
Yes, I just think for that items 17, 18, 19, 20 become 9, 10, 11, 12. That might be more clearer than inserted after 8.
And will become, yep. She put the double check. There is a seconder. Seconder. Yes. And the prayers also in. And yeah, Councillor Kemp wanted the prayer included. Yep.
Look, I would support having the prayer included.
So you're finished with that, Katie? Yep. All right. Did either of you want to speak to that? Councillor Kemp, you've really spoken to that, taken that, you've spoken. Councillor Quinton, do you want to speak to that? No. Does anybody want to speak to it? Councillor Burns, you had a query.
Yes, Matt. Sorry, I found the relevant section we were discussing. I would like to propose 2 further amendments, but current amendments.
You'll need to do that. Yep. Thank you. Does anybody want to discuss the current amendment? Councillor Schiller? Yep, your light's on.
Hi. I don't think I'll be supporting it, not because I don't think it, I realise that the public would be interested to hear those motions on notice and questions on and the following agenda item, but I think it could basically make our meeting take the focus off of the core important agenda items that are before that, and if it is on notice later in the evening, obviously it's going to come onto the agenda the following meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Schiller. Does anybody else want to have any questions or want to speak to the motion, to the amendment? Okay, so I'm going to put the amendment to the floor, and we're not talking about the whole, or Councillor Kemp?
I'll close the debate.
Yep.
Yep, thank you. I understand Councillor Schiller's point of view, and yes, I can see how that could be perceived, that we're putting some important items, down the list. But generally speaking, straight after the item 12 would be the CEO's reports and flowing down through the different directors, and then the lesser ones, which is not most probably a lot of people would take a lot of interest in, would be subsidiary reports, receiving of minutes, possibly members' reports, which will be at the bottom of the agenda, where I think for the community to hear, debate on issues that they may have raised through their elected member is at the beginning, which is very important to the community. And I think that that's why it needs to be up the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kemp. That closes the debate. Now we are voting on the amendment, not on the whole motion, but just on Councillor Kemp's amendment to alter items 17, 18, 19, 20 and insert that after item 8. So all those in favour? And those against? That is lost. And so we go back to the previous motion. Just wait for Katie to catch up. So we'll now proceed with the original motion that was moved by Councillor Mann and seconded by Councillor Burns. Does anybody have any discussion about the original motion? Councillor Schiller?
I haven't heard the prayer. Is it a modern style of prayer, or is it very conventional? I'm quite happy to have the prayer, but is it contemporary?
I'll ask the acting CEO to read the prayer for you.
Thank you. Through the Mayor. The prayer reads, Almighty God, we ask you to bless this council and allow it to be an agent of change to the people of this city and beyond. Direct and prosper its deliberations to the honouring of your name and the welfare of the people whom it serves. Amen.
Just also letting you know that at any time council with 2/3 of the majority can alter these meeting procedures, so it all doesn't have to be done tonight. If there's a different prayer that you would like as a council, not as an individual but as a collective, then we are able to do that at a further time. So don't feel as though you have to get everything done tonight. And the same with the way that the agenda is actually structured as well. Is there any further discussion in relation to recommendation 5? No, I will put it to the vote. All those in favour and those against? That's carried, thank you. We now move on to item 6.4. The council member allowance and benefits policy. And if you are happy with that recommendation being done en bloc, the first one being endorses the reviewed policy and benefits, and the second one endorsing the allowance, noting that the allowance and the policy and benefits, the allowance is provided for by the Remuneration Tribunal. I'm happy to do those en bloc. You happy for that en bloc, Councillor Schofield? Thank you. Moving on bloc, Councillor Schofield, and do I have a seconder? Councillor Henderson. Thank you. Do either of you want to speak to that? Thank you. Does anybody want to speak to that? All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Burns, in favour? Can we do that again, please? All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. Item 6.5, and I think somebody was asking me about this earlier on, the completion of primary and ordinary returns. The recommendation is receiving a note the ordinary returns and related party disclosures which are to be completed by councillors. Would someone like to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Henderson, and seconded by, thank you, Councillor Schiller. Do either of you want to speak to that? Does anybody want to speak to that or have any questions about the ordinary returns? We have Kyla Walker here, our governance officer, if you've got any questions. Councillor Kemp.
Thank you. Just wondering whether past practices will be in place for this time where it was sent out to us, the forms we had to fill out via email, or do we go through the Electoral Commission like we did prior to the elections?
Can you answer that, Kyla?
Through the chair, Councillor Kemp, yes, the process that was followed last time with the new council will be followed this time.
Can you speak into your microphone really clearly?
Sorry. The process will be followed similar to the new council in 2018. An email will be sent out to all council members shortly. There has been some changes to the legislation as based on the local government reforms. I was just waiting for that to commence, which did occur on the 17th of November. And new forms will be updated and be circulated shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kemp. Are there any further questions or any discussion in relation to that recommendation? I'll put it to the floor then. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. And your phone's off, please, on silent. The 6.6 is training and development policy and plan for council, and the recommendation is to adopt the reviewed training and development policy and plan. Moving that way, Councillor Mann.
I'd like to move something slightly different. At the end of attachment B, I would like to also include, with a change to reflect that the mandatory training sessions be held either on weekend dates or no earlier than 5:30 p.m. on weekdays. I've got it written down.
You've got it written down. Thank you very much. I'll wait for that to go, for Katie to put that down so that you can read it on the board there and understand what you're voting about. Once again, Councillor Mann, I think this is in order to address those people who are working. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Quinton. Do either of you want to speak to that? Councillor Mann?
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. Yeah, just to address this, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we all got about 20 calendar invites, probably scared a lot of the new elected members, definitely scared me. But a lot of those training sessions were starting at 3 p.m, which again, difficult for people who are working full time to get to. So moving that to 5:30 would just help a lot. I would make sure no one has to take annual leave to get to council meetings. And I've discussed with the CEO as well, acting CEO, around making sure that they're not all moved to our Saturdays. So we've got an understanding, and I'm satisfied that this takes that into account. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Councillor Quinton, did you want to add anything? Does anybody have any questions or want to add anything? Councillor Kemp?
Yeah, a question, please. Just wondering, by these changes, will they have a budget implications due to consultants will be working more out of hours, or normal hours, and on weekends, which would be a higher fee, I would imagine, if that could be answered, please.
CEO?
Through the chair, yes, there may be some budget implications to having training sessions after hours. Likewise, there may be some staffing costs additionally. We'll obviously do our best to try and keep that to a minimum expense, but alternatively, there may also be costs if a number of council members are not able to make the times of mandatory training sessions. We may have had to have otherwise run catch-up sessions or sent council members to third-party providers, which would obviously come at a cost as well. So I'm not able to give you the exact figure, and we'd have to obviously negotiate with those consultant providers who are helping us through with the mandatory training requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions or any discussion in relation to that? Councillor Mann, did you want to close the debate? I'll put that to the floor then. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 6.7, we have the recommendation, and I just want to change one word in that recommendation. The recommendation currently reads that council establishes an audit committee. We've already got an audit committee established, so that should actually read the council established an audit committee in accordance with section 41 and 126 of the Local Government Act. So if you can just change that S to a D, that would be helpful. So the first recommendation is really noting the independent members of that audit committee, which were appointed by council So can I have someone to move that way, please? Thank you, Councillor Schiller. And seconded by, thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Do either of you want to speak to that? No, does anybody want to speak to that? No, in that case, all those in favour? Those against? That's carried, thank you. Once again, we need to appoint 2 people to the Audit Committee, and in accordance with the committees, we'll go through the same process that we did for the Deputy Mayor position. I'll ask for nominations. If there are more than 2 people nominating, then I'll hand over to the Acting CEO and we'll have a secret ballot in relation to that. Each person nominating will get a chance to speak to that for 3 minutes. So do I have any nominations for the Audit Committee? Councillor Schofield?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Burns.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you accept that nomination, Councillor Burns?
I do.
You do? Thank you. All right. Sorry, we just need to backstep one minute. I need 2/3 of the members to show their hands that we can go out of meeting procedures and do this. Thank you. Okay, we'll carry on. So Councillor Burns, anyone else for the Audit Committee? Councillor Kemp, you accept that, Councillor? Are there any further members that are wanting to nominate? And you can nominate yourself. It doesn't have to be nominated from another person. No. In that case, we have Councillor Burns and Councillor Kemp that we don't need to have a secret ballot, and we can move to station 3. Councillor Kemp and Councillor Burns to the Audit Committee for a 2-year period. Council meeting. Moving that way, Councillor Schofield. And seconding that, Councillor Quimbeiro. Do either of you want to speak to that? No. Does anyone want to speak to that? All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. And congratulations to Councillor Burns and Councillor Kemp. Councillor Kemp's got the experience of being on there previously, and it's great to have you on board, Councillor Burns. So the recommendation 4 and recommendation 5 I'll do on block, if you're happy for that. The Audit Committee meetings are held quarterly, noting that the meeting cycles may vary at the discretion of the chairperson, and that the council adopts the reviewed Audit Committee terms of reference as applied to attachment A. Moving that way, Councillor Kemp?
I prefer to do them separately because I want to discuss the terms of reference, please.
Yep, sure. So recommendation 4, that the meetings are held quarterly, noting that the meeting cycles may vary at the discretion of the chairperson. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you, Councillor Schiller. And seconding, Councillor Burns. Do either of you want to speak to that? No. Does anybody want to speak to that? All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. The recommendation 5, that council adopts the reviewed Audit Committee terms of reference as provided at attachment A. Someone like to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Kemp. Did you want to move that way with an amendment?
Yes, I'll move the recommendation with the amendment to revert back 6.4 quorum back to its original statement, which is to have an elected member as part of the quorum. I'll just read it out for the public.
So you're looking at 6.5?
6.4, the quorum. So 6.41 stated a quorum for the committee shall constitute 3 members. That's the new one. The old one was a quorum for the committee shall constitute 3 members, one of whom shall be an elected member, and I would like to see that back in situ.
Okay. Operation.
And I have a question to the CEO, if I may. On item 6.8, electronic attendance at meetings, considering committees are a part of council and council can't have electronic meetings per se, unless there's an emergency under a declaration. So how does this electronic attendance at meetings sit within the current legislation of a committee meeting, which is a direct section 41 of the council?
Yeah, committees can't make decisions, council does.
So through the Mayor, we've actually had advice on this, and advice has been provided to the local government sector as a whole. The emergency declaration did relate to council meetings, so ordinary council meetings and special council meetings. So at the end of that emergency declaration, councils were not able to hold electronic meetings or have electronic attendance at meetings, but that doesn't apply to section 41 committees and the committees of council. But what they do need is to have that included in their terms of reference for it to be permissible. So that for that reason, and going back to your point about the quorum, this was about trying to ensure that there was the best chance of having a quorum by facilitating electronic attendance at meetings. And particularly if you're looking to keep the quorum requirements as they are, this would facilitate that.
Thank you. May I speak to the motion, to the amendment, please, Mayor Jenkins?
Certainly.
The reason why I'd like to have that reinstated in the new terms of reference is because I think it's very important that elected members should attend and must attend these types of meetings, because they are about finances of the highest level and about discussions. And I think it's great. It's unfortunate, and I can see why that happened because of the hiccup in August audit committee. So I think it's on the duty of the 2 elected members who are now on this committee to be there for all committees meetings, and whatever reason. As long as we've got one there, I think there's representation of the community and to ensure from the community's perspective that there's an elected member involved in the audit committee at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kemp. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Carlos Quimbera. Did you want to speak to that at all? Does anybody want to speak to that or have any questions? Councillor Mann and then Councillor Burns.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. Yeah, just to say I'm happy with the changes Councillor Kemp's putting up. I think it's great that we can bring our committees into the 21st century, and it'd be nice when the state government brings councils into the 21st century as well. But we'll keep having that fight over the next 4 years, and hopefully we can see each other on Zoom sometime soon.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Councillor Burns.
So I'm just speaking also in favour of the amendment. I agree with Councillor Kemp. I think also that it aligns with the intent of the legislation, have an elected member as part of it.
Is there any further discussion? I think everyone's agreed with you, Councillor Kemp, so there's no need to close the argument. All those in favour? And those against? That's carried. Thank you. We now move to the Council Assessment Panel, which is item 6.8. And I'm happy to do item 1 and 2 on block. If people are happy for that, that's noting, the first one noting the Assessment Panel is established in accordance with the Planning, Development and Infrastructure Act, and that the Council adopts the Assessment Panel term of reference and meeting procedures and codes of conduct. Would someone like to move that? Thank you, Councillor Schiller on block and Councillor Burns on block. Speak to those 2 recommendations. Does anybody want to speak to those 2 recommendations? No, I'll put it to the floor then. All those in favour? Those against? Once again, we have got to appoint a councillor as the council member representative to the Council Assessment Panel, and a councillor as the deputy councillor member for the assessment panel. And we would, I think it would be best, even though this is written as one, I wonder whether it's better to do it as two separate votes. So I'm going to ask first of all for nominations for the council member representative. But I'll just go out of meeting procedures and get 2/3 of you happy to do that. Thank you. So have we got somebody who would like to nominate, or more people, more than one? Carlos?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate. Thank you.
You'd like to nominate? Any other nominations for the council member representative? If there are no other nominations for the council member representative, I will put Councillor Quimbeira's name in that box. And we need a council member, deputy council member representative, if anybody would like to put their hand up for that.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Burns.
Councillor Burns, you happy to accept that nomination? Is there anybody else who would like to nominate for that? No, so we have a recommendation that council appoint Councillor Quimbeira as the council member representative and Councillor Burns as the deputy council member representative to be on the council assessment 2-year period. That way. Councillor Schiller and seconded Councillor Schofield. Do either of you want to speak to that? Does anybody want to speak to that or have any questions? No. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. And congratulations, Vera and Councillor Burns. Really interesting panel to be part of. We now move to section 42 and section 43 subsidiaries. And for the gallery and those listening at home, these relate to the Horse-Drawn Tram Authority, the Southern Hills Local Government Association, the Fleurieu Regional Waste Authority Board, and the Fleurieu Regional Aquatic Centre Authority, all really important subsidiaries of this council and require really good representation. So if I can just ask if we can go out of meeting procedures. Drawn Tram Authority. Do I have 2/3 to say we can? Thank you very much. So now I'll ask for nominations for the Horse-Drawn Tram Authority. Someone like to nominate for the board for the board for the Horse-Drawn Tram Authority? Councillor Kemp.
I'd like to nominate our Councillor Quinton with his expertise and knowledge in veterinary and animal husbandry stuff, etc. I think he may be a good asset as well.
Thank you. Councillor Quinton, do you accept that?
Could I just ask for some information on the number of meetings and if they're held during business hours for the Tram Authority? Because I did look into this and I was considering it, so thank you for the nomination.
Thank you. Councillor Schofield may be able to help you with that.
They have a meeting every month. One is a planning meeting, one is an ordinary meeting. They are held at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and all bar one of the board members live outside Victor Harbour.
The board may be able to change their meeting times, so that's something that the board can decide and accommodate if that's required. They do. They do. You happy to accept that nomination?
Yeah, I'll accept that. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations?
Yes, Madam Mayor, may I nominate Councillor Schofield, please?
Councillor Schofield, yep.
Sorry.
Councillor Schofield, thank you. Are you happy to accept that, Councillor Schofield? And Councillor Schiller, you had your hand up as well.
I was going to nominate Carol as well, so that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we've got two nominations. So what I will do is I'll recommend that we appoint the Acting Chief Executive Officer as the returning officer, and we go through the ballot process again. Councillor Kemp, got a question? Oh, moving, sorry, thank you. And I second for that. Thank you, Councillor Mann. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's carried. That's up to you, Karen.
Thank you. So we'll go through the process as before, in that we'll allow 3 minutes for Councillor Quinton to speak as to why he wishes to be the council member on the Victor Harbour Horse Tram Authority, and then we'll hand over to Councillor Schofield to do the same before we'll ask each council member to put the name or to indicate one of those two nominees, and then it will be a first past the post for the ballot process. If there's a tied vote, then we draw lots, and it's the last name that will be the name that's inserted into that recommendation. So to start with, being the first person nominated, Councillor Quinton, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I would enjoy working with those beautiful Clydesdales, and I think I would probably be better on the veterinary side of it rather than the management side of it, but I would like to also learn a lot of how it operates and the systems that are in place, and hopefully continue to foster good husbandry and animal care. So thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Schofield.
Thank you. Look, I would like to continue with the horse tram. I think at the moment we are going from one major project into another, which I have been involved in. My skills on the board come within marketing, business development, agriculture. I was South Australian Rural Woman of the Year, and also animal husbandry, being part of a reasonable dairy property. I've also had the pleasure of volunteering down there 4 days a week, and I'm able to get a first-hand information on what is happening, how the staff are going. The conditions of our Clydesdales are score 5, the best they've ever been. We have, we do have 9 with another 2 Clydesdales coming on board any day. So, yeah, I have quite a passion for it, but I will accept whatever the chamber decides.
You may.
Yeah, you can.
You may. You may. Councillor Henderson.
I have a question too. My question is, I know it's probably in the terms of reference, but is there any reason why we can't have 2 elected members on the board?
We'd need to look at the terms of reference, but that if that was possible, then we can always come back to the chamber again as well. I think the other thing is that in terms of that, I think that's probably a good idea for learning and for succession planning as well. So that might be something, if we don't have it in our terms of reference, that perhaps Councillor Schofield could take back to the board for discussion to then bring back to council. So I think that's a very good suggestion for that. Councillor Kemp, well, actually, we haven't gone back to meeting procedures yet, so I'm going to hand over to Karen still. Go on. You're asking questions.
I think we don't need any further out of meeting procedures if we've had a nominee withdraw. So I think you can take it back.
I'll come back. It's like playing bingo. We had a couple of questions, one from Councillor Kemp.
Just more of a statement of value adding. Under the subsidiaries, we tend to have proxies for the sitting member on a subsidiary as elected member. So it's in terms of reference to reflect a proxy. That could be overcome your issues of having 2 elected members on there.
And certainly that's something that could happen. What we'll do is have a look at the terms of reference and talk to the board about that. I don't think we'd want to do that without consulting with the board, but I think that's a really good, I think that succession planning, especially for that that subsidiary, which is quite specialised, is really important. There was another question that somebody had their hand up. No? In that case, then we go to recommendation 2. That council appoints Councillor Schofield as the council member representative for the horse-drawn tram. Would someone like to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Quinton. And seconding that, Councillor Burns. Would either of you like to speak? Does anybody want to speak to that? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. And congratulations, Councillor Schofield. You've got a wealth of information, and I think that Councillor Henderson's suggestion of either a proxy or increasing the board representatives is a really good one, because if you were run over by a bus, which I'd hate you to be, we really need somebody, that we need some succession planning to go on there.
Look, it is a good idea to have 2 elected members on that particular board. I've just been privileged to have been there and been involved in the growth of it. And it is very important. You don't know what's going to happen in the next 4 years, and health-wise, that is. And so I think it's very important to have somebody, and I hope that it is you.
Thank you, Councillor Schofield. We now come to the Southern Hills Local Government Association, and this is just a noting recommendation that the Mayor and Chief Executive Officer are the council representatives on that association. Moving that way, Councillor Mann, thank you. And seconding that, Councillor Henderson. Do either of you want to speak? No, all those in favour? That's carried, thank you. What I would like to do as one of the representatives is that when we have local government association meetings, if anybody wants to come and sit in the gallery, if they're interested in what the association does, I'd be more than happy to accommodate that. Or come and talk to me. We now come to the Fleury Authority Board. That is a one appointment. So I will ask if I can go out of meeting procedures and look for nominations. Thank you. 2/3 of you. Any nominations for the Fleury Regional Waste Authority Board? Councillor Burns?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to nominate Councillor Coimbra because of his extensive waste management experience.
Thank you, Councillor Coimbra. Are you happy to accept that? Thank you. Nominations for the Frower? No. In that case, I move that Council appoints Councillor Coimbra as the City of Victor Harbour's representative for the Fleury Regional Waste Authority for a period of 4 years. I'd like to move that way. Councillor Schofield, thank you, and Councillor Schiller, seconding. All those in favour? Those against? Welcome to Fracas. No, Frower. Get my Frowers and my Fracas mixed up. Welcome to Frower, Councillor Coimbra. We now go to the Fleury Regional Aquatic Centre Authority. And once again, we're looking for one council member to represent council on the Fleury Regional Aquatic Centre Authority. If we have more than one nomination, I'll ask Karen to do a secret ballot. Do we have 2/3 to go out of meeting procedures to ask for nominations? Thank you very much. Who would like to nominate? Councillor Kemp.
Just to highlight, under the the Fracka Charter, there is a position for a proxy council. So you'll be looking for 2 positions, but at least one who will be the permanent, and I'll nominate myself to go on the Fracka.
All right, then I'll ask if that's in the FRAWA terms of reference. Once we've gone with looking at you as the council member representative, I'll ask if somebody would like to be a proxy after that and add that to the recommendation. Councillor Kemp's one nomination. Do we have any other nominations? Councillor Henderson?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Schiller.
And Councillor Schiller as another nomination. Any further nominations?
I was with the discussion you had before about proxy. I'd be happy to nominate as a proxy.
We'll do that. We'll do that second. Thanks, Councillor Burns. Any other nominations for the council rep? I will then appoint, if I have someone to move that we appoint the acting chief executive officer as returning officer, we'll do a secret ballot between Councillor Kemp and Councillor Schiller. Someone like to move that way? Councillor Schofield, seconding Councillor Mackenzie. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. And I'll hand over to the CEO.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll go through the same process as we went through previously, where the 2 nominees, Councillor Kemp and Councillor Schiller, will have 3 minutes each to express why they should be the council member representative on the Fracka Fleurieu Regional Aquatic Centre Authority board. So in order of the nominations, I'll ask Councillor Kemp.
Thank you, Acting CEO. Yes, I'll put my hand up second time for another 4 years as the City of Victor Harbour representative on the Fracka, due to the fact that, as I said, I've been there 4 years already, gone through a lot of upheaval with board members and executive officers. Now we've stabilised, we've got a great team there, and if I'm not successful, Angela will certainly have a great time with great people who work at the Fracka board. I just want to continue the work that we've been doing and hopefully to see some outcomes from the hard work that's been set up over the last 4 years and continue into providing a great centre for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kemp.
Thank you, Councillor Kemp. Councillor Schiller, you have 3 minutes.
Hi. The Fleurieu Aquatic Centre is one of the major services that are provided to people with disabilities, and there are some concerns within the community about some of those things, and that is one very major driver to be elected to that particular board. But I also think that I'm a consumer that uses that pool on a regular basis, and those that just knowing how the pool works, and also just having a general committee role. I've been on many committees, so I think I will be able to fulfil my role as a general committee member as well.
Thank you, councillors. So each question.
Thank you. I'll do a Michael Quinton or Mick Quinton. We call it the Quinton move. I'll withdraw my nomination. I believe Councillor Schiller would certainly add a lot more value in the area of disability inclusion and access issues that is facing the aquatic centre, and certainly she has a wide knowledge, and it wouldn't take much to pick up on the issues of some of the financial situations that we're facing. But I think she'll do a fantastic job, so I'll withdraw my nomination.
Thank you, Councillor Kemp, and congratulations, Councillor Schiller. Now we need to ask for nominations for those that are wanting to be the proxy or the deputy representative for the Fleurieu Regional Aquatic Centre. Did you want to do that, nominate for that, Councillor Kemp?
No, I think it'd be good to have a fresh set of eyes sitting in on as a proxy to learn what happens there and to assist. So again, I think it was a good opportunity for a new councillor to gain that experience and knowledge.
Councillor Burns, you suggested before that you might be interested.
I had, for a couple of reasons. One, I was on Ashburton Aquatic Centre Board, Melbourne, and also I'm a user of the Aquatic Centre, and also being an ex-architect, I'm aware of a lot of the challenges and issues they have there, and be able to give some input into that. So go along, even just to better understand issues, I think it's valuable.
I understand that as a proxy, you are not, while the representative is there, you're not able to participate in those meetings, but you're welcome to be in the gallery and listen to what goes on. Yep. Councillor Kemp.
Just a clarity around that, if you don't mind, Mayor. The board allows the proxy to have a conversation but can't vote.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Are there any other members that are interested in being the proxy? If not, I will put Councillor Burns. The Deputy Representative. That up there. Yep. Do I? Thank you, Councillor Kemp, and seconded Councillor Coimbra. Do either of you want to speak to that? Does anybody want to speak to that? All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. Congratulations to both of you. That's the last one for that. Now we move up to 6:10, which I think is our last item. The Australia Day Awards Selection Panel. And the first recommendation is that Council notes the panel consists of 2 council members and up to 3 community representatives to assess the nominations received by Council. Would someone like to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Henderson, and seconded Councillor Schofield. Any questions? Does anybody, do you want to speak to that? All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. So now procedures and ask for nominations. And in this particular case, I would like to nominate myself as one person that sits on that panel. Are there any other nominations? Thank you, Councillor Henderson.
I'd like to nominate myself.
Any other nominations? Councillor Coimbra.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Mann.
You happy with that, Councillor Mann?
No, I think the current councillors who've put their hand up would do a better job than me.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Any other nominations? Councillor Schiller?
I'd like to nominate myself, please.
Are there any further nominations? We have 3 nominations, myself, Councillor Henderson and Councillor Schiller. And what I'd like to do is to appoint the Chief Executive Officer as Returning Officer. And you put 2 names on there.
Thank you, through the Mayor. So in line with the... we do.
You need to move and second appointing Karen as Returning Officer. We've done this so often. Thank you, Councillor Kemp, and seconded by Councillor Henderson. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you. Now you can.
Thank you. Thanks, Katie. Right, so going through the usual process, we'll have 3 minutes for each of the nominees to speak to their nomination in order of their nominations. So first up will be Mayor Jenkins, then Councillor Henderson, then Councillor Schiller. So Mayor Jenkins, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Look, I'd like to be on this committee. I think as as mayor that actually gives out the awards, having some input into who has them. And the recommendation, of course, comes back to council, and council can change that recommendation if they would like to. But knowing the community and being quite involved in the community over the last 8 years as previous mayor and as previous council, often I'll know the people who have been recommended, and I'd like to be part of that, choosing this the Citizen of the Year and the other Australian awards selections that we have. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. Now 3 minutes, Councillor Henderson.
Thank you. I have been on this selection panel twice already, once as Deputy Mayor and once last year. With my wealth of experience in community volunteering and many different sports, been involved in those myself, and knowing what is required for in the selection, the process, but also the requirements, weighing up the requirements between all of the applications. It is by no means an easy task, because everyone who is recommended is well worthy of being Citizen of the Year. It is difficult to choose, but I think you need to take a mathematical, scientific approach to weighing up the qualities and the service that all these different citizens have put into their volunteering and public service, community service over the years. And so I think I'd be a good judge on that panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Councillor Schiller, you have 3 minutes.
I think I'm going to come to it with a fresh set of eyes, being a newcomer to this process, and I have just as good a knowledge as the other two candidates in this respect as to our community, and that's about all I can say about it. So thank you.
Thank you, councillors and Mayor Jenkins. So this time your ballot paper will require 2 names from the nominees. So that's Mayor Jenkins, Councillor Henderson or Councillor Schiller, so 2 names each. Katie will collect your voting papers, and again it will be first past the post. If we have a tied vote, we will draw lots. Thank you, council members. We had one informal vote, so that threw me for a moment. But regardless of that informal vote, we have two names, and that is Councillor Henderson and Councillor Schiller, who were for those two positions. So they will be inserted into the recommendation.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Councillor Henderson and Councillor Schiller. So the recommendation is that Council appoints Councillor Henderson and Councillor Schiller to the 2023 Australia Day Awards. Can I have someone to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Schofield, and seconded Councillor Burns. Either of you want to speak to that? Do we have any questions? All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Congratulations. So that actually leaves us with the council meeting closing at 7:05. Well done to everyone on your first council meeting. We've got a special meeting that's going to be called for Monday. Monday. And so I look forward to seeing you then for instalment number 2.